To Lunch with Jill. Today we have a very special guest because you know what? Entrepreneurs need to have fun too. So I help entrepreneurs to show up big and connect with their people by making big business technology accessible and affordable for small business. But today we're not talking about that. Today we have a special guest who is Mr. John Krosnick, and there's a cool event coming up in Michigan, Ypsilanti to be exact. And so John is here. We're going to interview him. We have a lot of great questions about this group. And so take a break from your day and let's talk about it. So John, welcome.
Hello, great to be here. Thanks for having me, Joel.
Thank you. So I'm super excited. I'm going to try and, there you go.
There we go.
I'm super excited. So about what's happening here this weekend. Why don't you start out and tell us about kind of who you are and your connection with the group, and then we'll get into my dying question, which is that name.
Great. Well, the starting point, I think, for our conversation today is that you're talking to a small businessman. You're talking to somebody who runs a jazz group that's now 31 years old called Charged Particles. And we were created in Columbus, Ohio, when I lived there. And the band moved its base to California, where I live now. But I lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan for 8 years back in the 80s and feel very connected to Detroit. And so I'm really excited to be bringing this California-based band to Michigan for the first time with this configuration. We are playing at Ziggy's, which is a great club in Ypsi. And we're doing a special treat. It's a repertoire that we play. The group itself is piano, bass, and drums, a trio. And we have a special guest, Todd Dickow, who is a saxophone player from San Francisco. And we're playing the music of one of the greatest jazz musicians ever to walk the planet, a guy named Michael Brecker. And so that's kind of the story and where we can start today.
Awesome. Okay, so my first question, Charged Particles. Where does that name come from?
Well, as you know, naming a small business is incredibly important, that it can make the difference between the business working well and people being puzzled about what do you do. And, probably, I don't know, band names maybe are among the hardest names to come up with because, there, especially in jazz, there have been such successful bands as Weather Report and Spyro Gyra. What do those mean? How are those helpful? But tremendously successful. So when this band was first forming in Columbus, my partners at the time, Caleb Hutzler, a pianist, and Mike Rack, a bass player, and I were kind of sitting around trying to think, what should we do with the name? And we were pretty tempted to go with free food because we thought we said free food on Thursday.
People show up; they'll be in droves. They'll be coming in through the ceiling and everything.
But maybe not such a good idea. And so we decided we would get inspiration by looking through my jazz CD collection, and we just kind of took CD off the shelf after CD and looked at the names of songs. And we eventually, this was alphabetical, eventually got up to the C's, and there were Chick Corea's recordings. And on one of Chick Corea's CDs was a song called Charged Particles. And we thought, oh, wow, that is so perfect because first of all, if you think of the three of us as particles bouncing off of each other musically, nice metaphor, high energy kind of thing. But secondly, to do a little head nod to Chick Corea, one of the greatest jazz musicians ever, it felt really good to us because we were actually playing his compositions, and I eventually performed with him, and so we have strong connections. And then most importantly, the idea that Charged Particles had actually a story behind it itself. That Chick said he got that phrase from a saxophonist named Joe Henderson, Joe Farrell, who he worked with for a long time. And Joe had a sense of humor, and he would be smoking a cigarette, and he would tap the cigarette, and the ashes would fall off the end, and he would say, "Charged Particles."
Okay. Very good.
So that's the story.
Great history there. Very good. So now, so Charged Particles, tell us what type of jazz do you perform?
Well, the way we like to talk about the group is that we play funky Latin jazz.
Funky Latin jazz.
We are definitely different from the typical sort of traditional jazz standards group. We play that music, but not particularly in the spotlight. When we're doing concerts like we've done, and I'll just give you a feel for this group, that in the last year, this band has played not only lots of performances in California where we live, but also North Carolina, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, New York City, Albany, New York, New Hampshire, Oklahoma, Utah, Texas, Colorado, Minnesota. And outside the U.S., we've been on multiple tours in England. We've played Indonesia. We've played Switzerland, Italy. Just
wow, really, you guys gotten around the globe there.
Really wonderful opportunities. And the reason that we're coming to Ypsi is because a couple of years ago we put out a new CD of this music by Michael Brecker, which we almost didn't release. We thought, maybe it's not good enough to put out on a CD. And when we got some advisors listening to it, they said, "Oh, absolutely, you should put this out."
Right.
So, and we were just stunned. If people go to our internet page, our webpage, chargedparticles.com, that what people can see is just the amazing reviews and from all over the world. Jazz magazines in lots of countries reviewed the CD and glowingly, and radio stations, hundreds of radio stations have played the music. We've just been so lucky to get that reception, and that's what opened up these performance opportunities. And again, from a kind of small business point of view, what we think of is we're trying to kind of build our resume, and you start by making the record, and then you once the record is out, then you work at getting attention to it, and then once you get reviews, then you get concerts, and once you get concerts, you get more reviews, and so it all builds on each other. And I'll tell you a funny story that I think your jazz listeners as well as your small business people will find interesting. When we were putting the record together, so remember, this is celebrating the music of Michael Brecker, who's no longer alive, died at age 57 of cancer, but put out just amazing playing and composing during his too short life. His brother, Randy Brecker, is arguably the most significant jazz trumpet player alive today. And so I was following Randy on social media, and he posted a message on Facebook saying, "I'm really sorry, but this is the last message I'm going to post on Facebook because Facebook is shutting down my page. They've accused me of pretending to be a famous person named Randy Brecker."
Oh, gotta love it. Gotta love it.
So he said, he sent them his passport picture. He sent them his driver's license, and they said, "You don't look like that. Now we're shutting you down."
Wow. Okay.
So when I read this, I thought, I know somebody who works at Facebook. Maybe I can do something about this.
Okay.
And so I got in touch with my friend, and it turns out she works in the group that shuts people down.
Oh my God.
Famous people.
Okay, we need to get her name. Once we're out of here, I need her name.
And so she said, "Well, let me see what I can do." And 2 hours later, she emailed me back and said, "I think I solved it. Ask him if it's solved." And so I wrote him a note. I was able to get his email address, and I said, "Hey, just want to let you know, I think I might have solved this problem for you." And he wrote back and said, "You're right, it is solved. I'll tell you what, send me your address, and I'll send you some of my CDs to thank you." So I wrote back and I said, "Randy, I appreciate that, but I already own all of your CDs."
Exactly.
And so, well, how about this? How about if I send you a track from a record that we've just recorded of your brother's compositions, and tell me what you think? And so he said, "Okay." So I sent it to him, and he wrote back the nicest note saying, "I got out my trumpet. I'm playing along with you guys. You're amazing. I love this. Send me the whole CD, and I will write an endorsement for it to go on the back of the jewel case."
Networking.
So he did, and and now, believe it or not, we are touring with the guy.
Oh wow, really? There's so many rich stories in this whole thing. Okay, so he's going to be there on Sunday.
So he is not going to be in Michigan, but we played Birdland in New York City with him. We played Blues Alley in Washington. We played Dazzle in Denver, which are major jazz clubs. And we would love to bring him to Ann Arbor, actually. I think the right place for him is probably either the Blue Llama or the Ark. Although I'll tell you, Jewel, we're scheduled to now do a week-long tour with him in England. And,
nice.
And we are selling out, 1,000-person theaters with him.
Wow.
And so, none of the venues in Ann Arbor are quite that large, other than Hill Auditorium, which is 4,000, too big. But, we would love to bring him to Ann Arbor. We hope we will do that. But this this Sunday is going to be saxophonist Todd Dickow with the trio playing that music that's on the CD.
Okay, awesome. So what else do you want to tell us about this? For those busy people who are at their, computers or out and about and they just need to unplug and kind of chill out and hang out and have a good time, what can they expect from Charged Particles?
Well, on Sunday at Ziggy's in Ypsilanti, starting at 8 o'clock, the show is going to be pretty interesting because we're going to play this music, and it's, as I say, it's interesting to listen to, but it's really toe tapping and sort of irresistibly fun as well.
Okay.
And so it's not just grooves, but it's grooves and ideas. Mike Brecker was a really interesting composer, and I will tell you that when we do these concerts, the moment that feels to us maybe the most powerful of all in the evening is when we play a song that Mike wrote at the time he was in the hospital getting a stem cell transplant, trying to save his life at the end. And the title of this song, the title of the song is "When Can I Kiss You Again?" And you can just imagine, for a guy isolated in the hospital who can't see anybody while he's, getting these treatments, it was quite a poignant moment. And you can hear a pin drop in the room when we play that piece. But, lots of other great stuff, great, rhythmic complexity, compositional complexity, high energy. We might break the windows. You never know. Hopefully not. But the other special feature of the evening is we're going to have some special guests with us. One of the greatest percussionists in Southeast Michigan is a guy named Aaron Kaufman, who's a finger player. And Aaron has worked with me for 40 years in the Lunar Octet, which you know very well. That's the Latin jazz group based in Ann Arbor. And Aaron's coming. He's bringing his congas down, and he's going to play with us on Sunday. And in addition, you might know that Community High School in Ann Arbor has a really impressive jazz program. Just really terrific students, players, pre-professionals on their way to making a big difference in the jazz world. And a group of them are going to come down. They've been kind of doing their homework, and they're going to sit in with us. So they're, it's going to be a multifaceted evening. Let's put it that way.
Now, did they do anything special to be able to participate with you guys, or is this the whole group?
Believe it or not, I was up at 5:45 this morning, California time. So I could meet with the students by Zoom at their high school class and give them a lecture on Mike Brecker. So we have a slideshow that we put together to describe the guy's life, and we played some of the music for them. And so we kind of, planned out what we're going to do on Sunday. And they've now got that background, and they're practicing up their parts so that they can nail it when they play with us on Sunday.
Awesome. Wow. Is there anything else you want to share with the audience here? I just feel I'm so excited about this event because it's not just going out to check out a jazz band. There's history here. There's, connection to great jazz musicians here. There's a generational link between between generations here where you're kind of passing the baton. And I mean, there's so many rich dynamics to this thing. I'm super excited. I hope that everyone who views this video can make it out on Sunday, because this is one of those rare cases where you're going to look back on jazz history and you'll be able to say, hey, I was there at Ziggy's that night when the high school students were there, and, it was amazing. Anything else you want to share before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I think you left out a really important thing, which is that you're going to be there on Sunday.
Yes.
WJZZ is going to be there on Sunday, and we're just so pleased for you that WJZZ has come back alive in Detroit, and you are the perfect person to have a face out front with Roger doing this.
Oh, thank you.
And we watch everything you guys do very closely from California, and just are so glad that you're doing your part. And we saw, for example, the really prominent role that Roger played at the Detroit Jazz Festival just ended.
Yes.
And that's really significant for jazz. So we're glad that you're doing that. We're glad that you could blend up with that really important festival, which we performed at many times over the years. And, we're just really looking forward to seeing you on Sunday and seeing your smile in person.
Oh, me too. I can't wait. Okay, well, thank you so much again for joining here and sharing a piece of your day with us. Really appreciate it, and just looking forward to seeing you on Sunday.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.